Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Novelists Unwind. I'm Johnnie Alexander, and I'm so excited to have two guests with us today because this is kind of a special episode. I have with me Jessica Patch and Jill Kemerer, and we are going to be talking about a series that we're all involved in, the Resort to Romance series. So that's why I wanted to have both Jessica and Jill with us today. So, Jill, let's start with you. Tell us a little bit about yourself and your writing journey, and then we'll let Jessica do the same. And then we're going to talk about how these two imaginative, creative authors came up with this Resort to Romance series, which has just been so much fun to be involved with. Jill?
Okay. Well, thank you for having us, Johnnie. We appreciate it. I've been writing full-time since about 2007. And I write Christian romance novels. I'm published through Harlequin Love Inspired. So usually I'm writing cowboys, and this Resort to Romance is a big departure from that, but it's a lot of fun. And Jessica, I'll let you tell about yourself now.
Obviously, I'm Jessica Patch, and I've been writing since 2008. I also write for Harlequin Love Inspired, but I write for their suspense line, and I like to focus on law enforcement heroes. I also write contemporary romance as well, so I like to switch genres back and forth. And a little fun fact, Jill and I have the same agent and the same editor, so that's pretty fun.
Oh,
so
wow.
We've been friends for a long time.
Oh,
Yeah.
That's really cool. So I know Jessica's from Memphis area, Mississippi, though, right? Yeah.
Northwest Mississippi.
And Jill, I didn't know until I was reading your bio, you're from Ohio, which is where I grew up. So that was
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, I live in the Toledo, Ohio area. I'm originally a Michigan girl, but, I'm a transplant down here, but I love it.
Oh, that's really cool.
Whereabouts did you grow up?
South of Columbus.
Oh, nice.
Area. Yeah.
Nice area.
That was really cool. And then another little fun fact, I met Jill and Jessica. Though Jessica, I knew their names. I mean, that's kind of how it is in the Christian writing world. You know people's names through, I don't know, American Christian fiction writers loops and different things like that, and seeing their names pop up in Facebook and all. So I knew their names. I think we were all friends on Facebook or whatever, but I met them at the American Christian Fiction Writers Conference in Dallas a few years ago.
Dallas.
Was it Dallas or Nashville? One of those two places. And we were waiting outside. We just happened to be in the line together outside the banquet doors waiting for them to open. And these two ladies are just a hoot. I mean, I was just dying laughing. So that was really fun to get to actually meet them in person there. And then Jessica and I, our paths cross every once in a while when I was living in the Memphis area too. So, okay, but we're here today to talk about the Resort to Romance series. And I was so excited when Jill and Jessica asked me to be part of this project. Like you guys said, this is kind of a departure for me to write something this lighthearted. My stories tend to have angst in them. I have much angst, but it was so much fun. So, I mean, I don't know which of you to ask. How did this idea come up and come about?
Jill, you want to take that one?
Okay, well, I'm going to tell you it was 100% Jessica because we talk almost every weekday on the Voxer app. It's just an app on your phone. It's a walkie-talkie app. And one day she, calls me up and she's like, hey, I was looking at, blah, blah, author. They did something like this, and we were kind of talking about it. And we're like, what if we did that, it would be set, where would it be set? We were just joking around. And then I don't know how it came about, but all of a sudden we're on an island and and we were laughing so hard, and we weren't even thinking that this was going to be a thing, right?
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah. And I do remember though, then you're like, well, why would it be Matchmaking Week? Why would they be there? And we were like, well, there's some old ladies who own the island.
That's all Jill. The old ladies, they're all Jill, and they are awesome.
They are awesome.
I don't know. It was just so fun talking about it. And then at some point in the day, because we were doing this all day, like we weren't working at all. It was terrible. And at some point, we're like, let's do it. And you were like, I mean, we just both, it was instant. It was like, let's do this. And
Cool.
that was it. We were doing it. So
it happened really fast. Once we had a premise, we just kind of, Jill is so great at like logistical stuff. Yeah, she's amazing. And you know it, Johnny, because she's the one uploading all that stuff.
Yeah, she's been a big help.
I mean, it was like this fast. In 15 minutes, we knew what each of us were going to do.
Wow.
We talked about who we were going to ask. And within the week, I think, wasn't it within that week, it just felt right. You know, when things just click and feel right. And it just felt right. And it was so much fun. I thought, if we're having this much fun. And then we started spinning ideas for stories. What if? And it just happened. I think we had our stories basically within that conversation too.
Oh, wow.
This is what we did. This is kind of an everyday thing for Jill and I on procrastinating work.
Yeah. I know what it is to procrastinate. Yes.
I'm good at it too. I will say, Jessica and I've been friends for so many years, and we know each other's strengths. So I think that was one of the reasons why it came together so quickly, because she was like, I'm going to work right on the blurb and I'm going to get this. And I'm like, well, I'll deal with the, formatting or whatever, because that stuff is more in my wheelhouse. So I think I think some of the responsibilities just naturally came about because we each have our own strengths.
Oh, that's great.
Basically, Jill did the hard stuff.
No, I feel like you did the hard stuff.
I'll just get on Pinterest and create an island, and you do all the hard stuff.
No, you did
me. That's exactly how you do, right? Because no, it's been great. So we've talked a little bit in amongst that about the series and about the story. So the series is called Resort to Romance, and all 10 stories, there are 10 novellas in the series, are all set during the same week, and it's Matchmaking week, and it's set on Joy Island in the Bahamas, an island owned by these two twin sisters. Someone tell us a little bit more about Goldie and Jenny.
Oh, Jill has to do that because she's the one who developed those.
They're so fun.
Okay, well, Jenny and Goldie are, I believe, 77-year-old, very eccentric, wealthy spinster sisters, and they have very different personalities. Goldie is very artsy and just kind of loving and sweet, and Jenny is more shrewd, and she's kind of more, this is what's going to happen. But they both are just really flamboyant. They wear very, unique clothing, and they just get along so well. They're just, even though they're so different, they are just always together, and they were just really fun to come up with.
They were fun. And then the other cool thing about the series is that all of us had to use the word match in our title. So that also ties them all together. And that was a lot of fun. I mean, when I was just even trying to come up with a premise, I mean, that was sort of like playing in my mind. And one of the sayings that my mom used to say, especially to her, what would be her oldest great-grandchild, they would say when they were going to leave each other, I miss you like crazy. I miss you like crazy. And I was like, I miss you like crazy. I match you like crazy. So that became my title, Match You Like Crazy. And then it's like, okay, now what's going to work? I think I came up with my title before I came up with, what the story was going to be. And it's like, okay, how now can I make that work? So Jill, your story comes out first. They will be released 1 week at a time. Yeah. And yours is called A Meddled Match. So you want to give us a little brief thing about that, how you came up with it? Yeah.
Yeah, we decided to let mine go first because as soon as we started talking about these eccentric twin sisters, I had this idea for their nephew, great nephew, to be actually the hero. So we thought, well, what better way to introduce the island and these sisters than with a story about their great nephew. So there would be a lot of interaction between them. And my story is great nephew, Gavin. He is on the island kind of under false pretenses. The aunts Ginny and Goldie tell him that they're really considering letting him inherit the island. So he thinks he's there to, try to convince them to let him inherit the island. But as soon as he gets there, they're like, oh, we have a problem. One of our matches didn't show up. You need to fill in for this girl's match, but you can't let her know that you aren't her original match. So that was how that one came about.
That's cute.
And it's fun. I've read it. It's really good. It's a lot of fun, a lot of laughs.
I can imagine. I read the scenes with Goldie and Jenny because Jill was so kind to share those with us so we could get a flavor and a sense of who they were as we were writing our stories, and these two women would show up in them, and it was really funny. So it's just really great. In fact, I have a conversation that occurs between the two of them and mine, and it's just like, snap, snap, snap. And the gal that edited it for me said, you lose track of who's talking, but it doesn't even matter because it just doesn't even matter who's talking. And that was what I was looking for, where it was just going back and forth, and who cares anymore? But there they are, going back and forth with each other. So Jill, or Jessica, yours is a messed up match.
Yes.
Tell us about that one.
A messed up match is about, my hero's name is Pax, and he writes an anonymous blog, and he works for a men's magazine, and they call him the love curmudgeon because he gives terrible advice that usually ends with run for the hills. Burned in love and seeing so many people burned in love, and so he is coming to the island to write this big article for this magazine, why women will just pretend. They're just pretending to be anything you want them to be, and he's going to discredit matchmaking altogether. And so while he's on the plane, he meets the heroine, who's a kindergarten teacher from Mississippi, and she's there. She's not really there to find a match, but she's kind of there because she's afraid of a lot of things, and she wants to try new things, and she feels like if she goes to this island and she's paid all this money, then there's accountability there to do it. And so he's going to try to prove that she's going to do anything he wants, whether she wants to do it or not. And of course she's going to say yes to all these things because she's afraid of them. So point, and she's kind of like, this guy's weird, but I'm going with it. So it's just a lot of fun.
Oh, that's so cool. I just love the whole idea of how it all came together, and then kind of talking about behind the scenes stuff, the formatting and all of that. I've never done an indie project before, and it was so helpful to me to have someone holding my hand as we're going along that process. So this is your first time, right, to do something like this. What have you learned about, would you do it again? What have you
we talked about actually we talked about doing another series. This has been a dream. Every single author has been so good to work with. We've collaborated. We have cameos in each other's stories. And Jill and I work so well together that we would, time allowing and things, I think we would do it again. We've toyed with the idea just for fun, but we know that when we do things just for fun, so it is possible. Jill, what do you think?
Oh, it's definitely possible. And I have to say what Jessica said too. All the authors that came on board have been amazing. Everybody's met their deadlines. Everybody has come in with good questions when we've needed it. It's been just a really good experience. And I think the way it's set up, it hasn't been too much work for anybody because everybody's responsible for their own novella. So I don't know. I would do it again in a heartbeat.
Yeah,
it was fun, and I think like what you said earlier, just all that support was there, which made it, I think, easy for us. And there was a lot of freedom because even though it was the same week, and of course there's this premise about Ginny and Goldie, we could still just sort of do our own thing as far as the story was concerned. And there was a lot of leeway and freedom in that. And then Jessica's Pinterest board was of such a big help. I mean, I went there several times to, to see what, like the mix and mingle. That all begins with the mix and mingle on Saturday night when they arrive, right? And what that decorations look like. And she had pictures of Goldie and Jenny, or people representing them and their clothing. So that was a lot of fun too. What was something that maybe? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was just saying, I think that was really helpful because we wanted all the authors to be able to describe the same place, but with their own unique author voice. So putting a Pinterest board together, we're all describing the same place and the staple amenities there. But then also you have that creative license where it's such a big island, you can leave the island. I mean, the sky is the limit, so that you have creative license. And then when it comes time to describing the resort or the people, you use your own author's voice to do that. And I think that really helped a lot. I think that's what's going to bring a lot of uniqueness to the novellas too.
Oh yeah, it's just great. It's great. So the first one Jill's releases on February 19th, right?
Yes.
And then every Tuesday after that, with one little gap, I think, right?
Yep. Yeah. There is a 1 week gap. We're not going to say that there's a reason for it, but that's this one's part. There is 1 week off where there will not be a release, but I don't think it's going to be a big deal. It just makes it that much more fun, a little longer, right?
That's right. So starting February 19th, y'all want to make sure that you get these copies or get these novellas. They're all close to or are available for pre-order. I think by the end of this week, they all will be available for pre-order. 99 cents for the first week, and then they'll go up to $2.99. Again, they're just really just fun stories, just delightful. So anything else you guys want to share about your characters or about something you learned that was really fun that you didn't know?
I do have one thing I'd like to add. I think one of the reasons that the series was very successful up to this point for me is that we had such a really good cover designer too.
Yes.
Hillary Manton Lodge really saw Jessica and I's our concept, and she ran with it, and I couldn't be more pleased. I love what she came up with for the covers.
She nailed it, and was so good to work with, and open to suggestion, but she did such a great job. I mean, there really wasn't anything for us to have her really change. She was amazing. I'm glad you brought her up.
Yeah, me too, because the covers they're amazing, and they'll be in the post. I'll have all 10 of them, and again, just as a behind the scenes thing, I mean, Jill and Jessica handled that so well too, just by drawing. We had all the mock-ups, and it was so cute because Hillary had, in place of the author name, she had characters from Jane Austen books, because Hillary Lodge, you may not know, she writes stories kind of based on Jane Austen stories, so it's really fun. So she had made up names, and then she had for the author names, and Jill pulled names out of the hat, and then that was the order in which we got to choose our covers and which ones we liked, and they're all just delightful.
They were all good. You couldn't go wrong with any of them. They were wonderful.
No, and the colors all go together, and you're going to know when you picked up any of them, you're going to say, oh yeah, this is part of that series, because they just all go together. Well, one last question, and that's what I ask everybody who's a guest. So Jessica had to answer this before. When you are done writing, when you hit the end, what do you do to unwind? Jill, you can go first.
Ooh, that's a good question. I kind of take the time to unwind with coffee every day, so it's not a special event, but there's always coffee, and I like to go to Barnes and Noble and just kind of walk around, or if the weather's nice out, I'll go outside and take a walk. I live close to a river, and there's a long river walk. It's gorgeous, but I don't do a ton to celebrate like finishing writing a book. I usually take the day off when a book releases. So, yeah.
That's good. Yeah, usually there's another book to write, right?
Right, exactly.
Jessica?
I don't do anything as productive as that or sweet. I just like get on the couch and I binge watch Netflix. I'm like, what's on Netflix? I'm just gonna watch like 40 episodes of something and really let somebody else tell me a story for a while, and then it's right back into getting ready for the next thing or promo or whatever is next. But I would do well to take a walk, I'm sure. But I lay on the couch and watch Netflix.
I love it. I love it. Well, this has been so much fun. I'm glad you guys were able to join me. I'm really excited about the Resort to Romance series, and want to encourage everyone to grab all those copies, all 10 of them. You won't be sorry.
Well, thanks so much for having us.
Yes, thank you so much, Johnnie. This has been a lot of fun.
It's always fun. It always is. And goodbye, everybody, and we'll see you next time on Novelists Unwind. Bye-bye.